Welcome back, people. We've got ourselves another DayDream tournament here by Dreamers Esports in the Illuvium Arena. Of course, patch 1.12, the Revenants and Rogues have been toned back a touch, but it does not mean we will not see them. And we're looking forward to yet another fantastic tournament. These, of course, like I was saying before, every Tuesday and Friday for Illuvium, with some rather nice prizing on the line as a part of the Dream Ladder. So definitely recommend anybody who's competing or looking to compete in Illuvium to check out Dreamers Esports. Their link will be in the video description below. Of course, our grand finalists here today: Winnie from Team Monarch, DttvAline, YamiYugi, SqUaAk from Team Monarch, OLA.Nareba, INoostalgy, OLA.Froudo, as well as our winner from the last tournament, SqUaAk. It was pretty much a almost a full house here for the Dreamers Esports tournament. I know they cap those tournaments usually at 32 players, and I think we were basically at 29, so a very, very solid turnout, unless these players have been playing all afternoon to compete and try and play for the USDC prize money that is a part of each individual tournament as well. And one thing, of course, that has been requested, as you see me playing around with the camera, shout out again to Rich from Illuvium for teaching me how to actually move the free cam. I'll be playing with that a little bit here in this match, of course. But I know I had a couple of requests in regards to camera angles going into the Illuvium matches, mainly with the suggestion of just keeping it default. Now, I'm going to compromise here, because personally, I come from, or not that I come from, but I like the traditional sports style of where I'm sitting at center ice or center court, shooting sideways with both teams on each side. But I also do understand that positioning can be a little bit tough to understand going into these rounds. So what I'm going to end up doing here is, during the setup phase, I am going to be keeping it on default, but as soon as the little bell goes off where people can't move their alluvials anymore, I'm going to switch it to my side-by-side view. By all means, feel free to let me know how you like or dislike that in the comments below. At the end of the day, this is for you, it is for the people. I may have my own preference, but if I can tell it's overwhelming that people want it a specific way, I can absolutely do that. I can put my ego aside for that, absolutely. I don't mind being wrong. It means I learned something. And of course, these matches are broadcasted live here on Twitch, YouTube, and Kick. So if you hear me referencing chat every once in a while, it's because I was recording this live. Or rather, the match was recorded, but then I cast over it live, so to speak. As we now can finally start getting into the rounds, now that we're here in round 6. A bit of a back and forth, of course, people. Right before I was talking about the tournament, I was talking about tier lists for each of the alluvials. I'm sure that'll be a video at some point here. And I was going over how I was slandering the heck out of the Virtuous Lynx, thinking that it was rather underpowered, but we're seeing both DttvAline and SqUaAk using it to very, very strong fashion, especially here for SqUaAk coming in clutch. And of course, our first NPC round before we get into the carousel right around the corner. Taking a look at our health bars. YamiYugi going to be leading this lobby alongside SqUaAk. Going for bulwarks and empaths. Meanwhile, we do have DttvAline, of course. Empaths, rogue, and the bulwark. Fighters and bulwarks here for Winnie. Maybe possibly setting up for a wildfire play of some sort. Maybe same thing here. The one above it. And OLA.Nareba, who shoutouts to Nareba, was streaming their point of view during these. And I think streams their point of view for most tournaments. So definitely check them out on X if you have not done so already. At least that's where I saw their stream. It could be Twitch as well. With it being the Taiga Boreal region, it means that we're just going to be getting the extra perk of re-rolling our drone augments one extra time. So compared to some regions, this one is very, very tame. It hardly is going to affect the match at all. I know there was a lot of discussion in the Discord, in the arena section in particular, about how a lot of people thought that there's too much luck in regards to winning these matches. First off, hey, have you played an auto battler before? But two, like, there is some that are maybe a little bit more hectic than others, but adapt or lose, right? Yeah, of course, again, it's YamiYugi leading the lobby here alongside SqUaAk and a couple others. We're going to ride along here with INoostalgy, who, it's the first time I think I've seen them here on the stream. However, OLA.Froudo, not a new face here whatsoever. In fact, one of our past Dreamers Esports DayDream tournament winners. So very familiar with OLA.Froudo. The Fighters Empaths up against Fighter Bulwark. The slugfest dead center with the Ranger in the background firing off the boomerangs. But as of right now, this one's looking very, very strong here for the green side. INoostalgy is just going to slowly chop on through. That Mammoth does get a nice stun onto multiple healers, but it does not matter. Too many low health bars is going to cause Froudo to take the hit here. INoostalgy taking this one. And of course, looking around the board, gotta look for those hollows. Some pretty hollows, of course. I know personally, I've been hopping back into the overworld a little bit, and I don't know about you, but compared to the last time I hopped into overworld, I am seeing so many more stage 3s. It's not even funny. Like, maybe not in tier 0 runs, or stage 0 runs, but in stage 1s, I feel like I'm finding exalted gorillas and, like, Archelions and gyros, like, all over the place now. That used to be so hard to find. So definitely, if you've not done so already, hop into Overworld. Now's a good time. This is DttvAline versus SqUaAk.Monarch here for our next matchup. 4 Empaths versus the Scion Bulwark combination. As we do see, actually, the Stage 3 fully evolved Fleesh that might be here to make me eat my words. In my tier list, I was just cussing out, slandering the Fleesh about how it cannot one-shot anything. Meanwhile, SqUaAk's Fleesh definitely took care of that Apon. However, that Valente was right on top of it, as you're going to see, SqUaAk is going to fall to this one. Too many bodies to have to go through. But I'm curious. How long will they keep that Fleesh? As we do see even the Exalted Valente as well, so I thought that was stage 2. No, that thing's fully evolved, and all it had was the damage augment for just a little extra damage, the 10% damage. And it's up in the 4,000s in terms of damage. Meanwhile, say the Fleesh, for example, it barely broke 1.5 thousand. Oh, hang on, that might not have been a stage 3. I can't remember. That might have just still been the stage 2 Fleesh. Now, that is a pretty... I was going to say a pretty TNT. No, that's a pretty entire bench, entire team. So many shinies there for SqUaAk, one of the holo collectors that I've come across here in the tournament scene. Not only is their team deadly, they are also very, very pretty. If you hear them meowing in the background, say hi to NASCAT, just constantly popping off in the background. Hopefully, they will sleep sometime soon here. But YamiYugi going up against SqUaAk this time by. SqUaAk taking a little bit of damage, but still in the 90s, as we do see the Virtuous Lynx coming in clutch to try and keep that entire bunker alive. Taking a lot of damage, does have that increased attack speed. Here comes the Execute plus heal, does manage to get through the 1. But there's still a lot of damage being done to this front line. Back and forth now. The Atipo going to try and front line here for the TNT. If the TNT can get one more shot off, they might be able to clutch this one up. They're almost there. That Atipo still hanging on by a thread. The Apon does not do that much damage. The shots fired from TNT does take down the Ranger. Now it's just a matter of dealing with the Apon. Overtime damage going to come on through, and it's not going to be enough. That hollow TNT coming in clutch with its Hippo there. That extra little bit of shielding and just being a meat shield in its own right is going to be enough for SqUAk to get the turnaround here. As we hop on over here, Winnie.Monarch versus ZekoParico, and again, I have to showcase off this this battle board. I do think it is a very, very cool one. Even this part just by itself, the red and orange, I actually love this color scheme here for the battle board. But the Illuvatars off in the background is also very, very cool to see. And sure enough, we do have the Exalted Fleesh. So my Fleesh slander from my tier list, is it going to come out here to bite me? We'll have to see. 4 Scions, 3 Bulwarks, and Harbinger as well here for the side of ZekoParico. Meanwhile, on the other side here, 3 Bulwark, 3 Fighter, 2 Templar, 2 Empath, very, very balanced. Lots of damage going to be coming up through here. That Crunk is also loaded up with tank items. That's going to be hard to deal with. And the Scions, we're seeing why they have such a hard time early here. They immediately get popped. That Axon's trying to hold the line as best as possible. AC-130 is coming on through, but it is going to get shot down so quickly. Fleesh nearly about time to fire off again. It is going to be able to take care of the Lynx, but there is still, again, just not enough duration on that beam. The Fleesh tires out so quickly, and with the Fern and the Crunk up front in your face like that, there's not much you can do. And shoutouts to the Crunk leading the damage charts in that one as well. While just holding tank items, that is pretty crazy. SqUAk is going to lead the charge here. Take one more look again at their extremely hollowed out, decked out team. Very, very cool to see. Take a look at some of these compositions. Of course, we do have Fighters and Bulwarks over here for YamiYugi. Bulwarks and Empaths right here for SqUAk. DttvAline, Empath Mystic coming on through with a couple Rogues. Fighters and Empaths and 2 Bulwarks here for INoostalgy. Looking to maybe set themselves up for a bunker. I do see a couple of the usual suspects for that kind of setup. Go over the rest in just a second here. Play with the camera a little bit more. See that hollowed out team. Oh, hi SqUAk. The team hollowed out and whatnot. Unfortunately missed Winnie's, but we do have, of course, Scions there for ZekoParico. Scion Empath Fighter coming out here from Froudo. Scion Bulwark. So I am seeing a lot more Scions, but I know as somebody personally who, if I'm not playing a Wildfire kind of style bunker composition, my second favorite is Scion Steam. And I've noticed that Scions in general, like if you're trying to go for them early, you're probably getting wrecked. Meanwhile, let's take a look at our next matchup. Froudo versus Nareba, an OLA team kill here. That's Railu is loaded up with items, but at the same time, look at that Ramphie. That is a very, very scary Ramphie. Got plenty of Omega power, so it's going to be able to one-shot things. It has the disengage as well, so now it's going to be able to get out of dodge. Actually, I don't even think the untargetable even triggered there, so it still has it in its back pocket. Granted, its ults did not necessarily hit any targets. Everybody just ran away. But he's still there, still ready to play. And did the Rilo actually just dodge the ability? That'd be kind of clutch if it did. Another one coming right up here. The bear is going to get that power ascent, so it has so much more health in the tank. But its only backup right now is the Revo, and this thing just tickles you at most. That bear is eventually going to end up falling here. It's just a matter of dealing with this Revo, which should not be problematic here for Nareba at all. Froudo is going to win the OLA team kill this time. Or excuse me, it wasn't Nareba. No, that was... I might have casted that one backwards, but whoopsie. Again, of course, doing these casts, it's a perfect time as I'm blundering here as we watch Winnie and YamiYugi set on up here. But these casts, first and foremost, is just an outlet for me to practice, and I feel like if I can also entertain you at the exact same time, then absolutely I will do my best to do so. But by all means, any feedback is welcome, whether it be here in the live chat or in the comments after the fact. By all means, light me up. Winnie, 4 Bulwark, 3 Fighters, 2 Templars, 2 Empaths. Very balanced across the board here. Very similar scenario here for the side of YamiYugi. Slugfest in center field. It's going to be going over to Winnie as of right now. But that backline could still be scary. We're seeing the wildfires proccing from both sides here. This arena is about to blaze on over. And it looks like now that is where things are going to swing. That virtuous empath, the Lynx, in a perfect prime position to maximize its healing, but it gets stunned. So the tank line is going to fall. That loaded up SqUaAk tanking everything here for YamiYugi. What looked like it was Winnie's to win ended up getting turned over. And crazy to see that it was actually the Rangers leading the charge here on both sides. But for YamiYugi, that Ranger was also a wildfire, so every time it fired off its boomerang ability, the next auto attack lit the character on fire. So was maybe able to get more wildfires procced earlier in the fight, and maybe that was just enough to get the ball rolling. As we see the carousel here for our next round, we have some juicy targets, and I was going to say INoostalgy, especially if you're planning on playing any sort of bonker composition, you probably want that item. That is the one that I was talking about earlier during the tier list, where you stick that on somebody in the center of your team, and anybody around it gets mitigation, and just makes your team so tanky, even though they're supposed to be the ones getting popped. And with the lineup here right now, sure enough, that is a usual suspect for popping that item on. We're going to see the Archos in the front line going to be holding that alongside their 2 tanks. The Singe is also there as well, could possibly take advantage of it, but not opting for full bunker. A little bit of actual switcheroos here, as we do see in regards to the carries for each of these teams. The Rake on the side of ZqParico alongside that Exalted Fleesh going up against that fully loaded Pyre. Sange spin the win right in the middle of everybody. Is there anybody here that can actually stun that thing? The closest thing would have been the Gnarl, but it was not able to do so. The Fleesh is going to get jumped on by the Ranger of all things. Of course, that might be a fighter, but it acts like a rogue, and ZqParico is going to take another solid hit here from the squad. This hollowed out Pyre, alongside the damage of the tank line and the Ranger coming in clutch there. But that's, again, one of those scenarios where if the Singe does manage to get that spin to win off without interruption, sure, it does a ton of damage, but there are many things in this game that can shut things down, and one of them would have been the Cling. It was right there, but it did not get its ability off, or did not get the ability off in the right direction. So it just spun on top of them the whole time. We ride along now here with DttvAline going for 7 Empath, 2 Mystic. This is a very safe, shielded, and strong team. As we now see in regards to the carries, we do have a virtuous Zephyrlink, so a stage 3 fully evolved one, not only a healer but set up to do damage in this one. I'm very curious to see how this one goes. Meanwhile, we're seeing that Vermilio and the Revo dive directly in. Look for this Vermilio popping around all of them. Not much damage actually being done. The Ranger took it all, but oddly enough, that should have been everybody taking damage, at least if I do say so myself. So a big break here for YamiYugi, that it did not go the way that I was expecting. That Fur Knight is just firing away from the background, but this is now where that virtuous Zephyrlink is going to come into clutch, as some of these health bars get extremely low, but it's not going to be fast enough to get the heals out. Does YamiYugi have enough to take out DttvAline? I don't necessarily know here. The heals coming out once again to kind of nullify that wildfire damage. This one is going down to the overtime damage. Here comes the big shields coming out from the Empath, and that should be enough to hold the line. DttvAline winning that one in very close fashion. And look at the healing here from this Virtuous Zephyrlynx. Almost 7,000 healing, while also doing very, very well in the damage charts. Virtuous Lynx, I am sorry that I've ever slandered you. You're absolutely incredible. As we go through another NPC round, let's take a look and see what everybody's using here. 7 Empath and Mystics here for DttvAline. Missed Winnie.Monarch again, I am so sorry. But INoostalgy, Bulwarks, and Fighters. Bulwarks, Harbingers, and Scions focused mainly on Earth, maybe set up for Magma here for SqUAk. YamiYugi looking to play some Wildfire here. Alongside Nereba's Empaths and Scions, a little bit of Revenant kind of tucked in there as well, but nowhere near ready for the level 4. Heavy Scions coming out here for Zico Perico, and at that Water Scions, which I know is something as personally I've never been able to find success with, so I'm going to be keeping extra attention to that. Meanwhile, we do see Froudo taking a lot of damage here in this one, going to possibly be the first one to approach the hot seat. But not going to worry about that one just yet. We do have INoostalgy, who of course is all bunkered up with Spore, relying heavily on this newly formed Pyrax. Going up against Nereba, who might have found the rogue they were looking for. That ramp fight, loaded up with items, of course. We've seen it in action once earlier, did pretty decent, and this is looking like another fantastic setup here for the ramp fight. To the skies we go, and goodbye! Completely annihilates the back line. Now it's just a matter of going up to the skies one more time, finishing off those healers. That is going to be the Archos down. Sure, the tanks are still alive, the Adordo is still alive, but there is no damage on this squad. They will eventually be chipped away unless this Ranger has anything to say about it, dives directly on top of the squad, and with the ramp fight going up one more time, I highly doubt that one's gonna end up working. Just a matter of going through this crunk, which should not be tough. One more time to skies, that is probably the most ramp fight ults I have seen in a single round. But with that, look at that damage. Almost 15,000 for that ramp fight. Really finding its mark, finding its value. It may have not necessarily had the one shot, but when it found its mark, it made it work. Eliminating the back line, eliminating damage early, then getting the healers, then getting the tanks. And then one very, very slippery little Ranger. I mean, at this point here, it might be a little bit early to call the hot seat, but a bad loss here for Froudo could be the elimination mark. So we'll have to see how this one ends up going. Zico Perico ready to go, does have the Alfie here as well, and it looks like the Fleesh has finally been retired. Unless I am mistaken, I can't see it as of this moment, but the Octius is here as well, trying their damnedest to burst down the squad. Hydro Pump gonna be going right on towards that Lynx, but you have to deal with the bear, and the bear is on top of you with that power ascent, and it is going to absolutely ignore the numbers game. You might have Vermilio there alongside you, just kind of holding the line, but that bear was so devastating. It's gonna win this one. See some serious damage being done here from both the Alfie line and the Ranger on Zico Perico's side, but that bear was just too much here. Zico up against Winnie.Monarch. Nereba's been knocked down to 27 as well. Frodo still sitting at 22. Similar position as last time, of course. One bad loss could very well mean elimination. We'll try again and see if this bear can hold the line, but this time it's gonna have to go up against this Virtuous Zephyrlynx that can not only, of course, heal, but whittle away at you as well if you're within range, while still being seriously tanky. The positioning, though, for DttvAline might have been caught, though. That poor little deer is going to get immediately mauled by the bear. So if they are expecting that Doro to heal for a long time, they could be able to out of luck. But actually, it got distracted somewhere along those lines, and I think it got taken down before the power of sense could come into play. So DttvAline coming in clutch here so far. I don't know how they managed to do it. I might have to rewatch this later for myself to figure out. But what looks like a misplay of positioning was actually brilliance. I'm sorry I've ever doubted you. That's gonna knock Froudo now into the hot seat for sure. 7 health is not much to deal with. And unfortunately here for Nareba, if he does end up winning this one, this is of course a team kill. Hate to knock your mate out in 8th, but I mean, it's right there. But we've seen Frodo's bear has been able to do work. Don't sleep on that Arctase either. It does have a couple of items to get the job done, but with that loaded up ramp fire, we know this could end in a blink of an eye. That ramp fire looks like it's going to be diving directly onto that Quinks into the corner. Both teams going to be firing off the Quinkses. And both Quinkses are immediately going to get dove on, but actually the one on the side of Nareba looks like it's just fine until the ace comes through. Here comes the, the ramp fight, and it absolutely takes out 2. But a couple more bodies are falling one more time to the skies here for the ramp fight. Some decent damage, but the bear just shrugs it off. That untargetable, though, is going to come in clutch. How many does he get this time? It's going to be 2. The bear's still alive, still swinging, does have some backup. AC 130 diving on through for a little extra support. And one more time to the skies here, and it finds 2. It is a 3-on-1. Can the polar bear go through 3? This is a tall task, but it's hanging on. But can it survive the burst damage? No, it will not be able to do so. Heartbreaker here from Team OLA, but that is going to be Froudo. Knocked out here in 8th. 07's in chat, because nonetheless, making it into this grand final in its own right is still a fantastic achievement. So, GG's Froudo. We'll see you in the next one, though, I am sure. Just wasn't in the cards. That polar bear did a fantastic job, but could not withstand the burst damage of one more ramp fight ult. But one thing that's rather interesting here in this game is there is actually a lot of low health bars. Normally we see maybe 2 or 3 players like sitting pretty, but right now the only one I would say is sitting pretty is DttvAline. There was 64. Everybody else has to actually be kind of careful. 7 empaths, 2 mystics, still the plan here for DttvAline. INoostalgy, fighters and Templars. Scion Invoker coming out here now here for Zico Perico. Does have the Octius alongside the Dwelf or the Sylph. One of the 2. The Archie line nonetheless. Fighters and Templars coming out here for YamiYugi. Nareba still has Empath Revenant. A little extra Scion as well mixed in. Winnie.Monarch. Nature, Bulwark, Fighter, Wildfire. A little extra Templars on the side here for a little bit of point blank fighting action. Meanwhile, Earth Magma Bulwarks for the side of SqUAk. I'll say there's not necessarily much in terms of duplicates, so it's nice to see a rather diverse composition here in our grand final. What do you mean 4 or 5 players aren't diving for rogues and revenants? It's a nice change. I'm a noob. Yeah, compared to some of these players, 100% I am still a noob. Now this is weird. Nareba's tag is grayed out, as if they are out of the game, so that's kind of awkward. Hopefully they can reconnect. It's way too late to call for a remake, of course, so hopefully they can get themselves back in here. But we've got SqUAk versus Zico Perico. SqUAk in hot seat, as we do see the massive amounts of Scions, including that fully evolved squeeze. This thing is going to chunk. But there are a lot of tanky bodies here on the side of SqUAk with the goal line. Oh my goodness, that shot from the Alfie directly through pretty much the entire front line. An absolute dream shot here for Zico Perico. And the Fleesh even getting involved. And that is going to be the elimination here for SqUAk. Going to end up falling in 7th unless Winnie.Monarch ends up falling as well. And if so, how bad? Right along here is DttvAline, who knocks YamiYugi down to 7. And Winnie won that round, so they're still in this one. Nareba did end up losing, so heartbreaking. Seems like disconnected. From what I'm seeing in the Discord, it's saying no internet, so that is absolutely brutal. I know they were streaming their point of view as well, so heartbreaking all around here for OLA.Nareba, and heartbreaking as a whole here for OLA. Is it raining out my way? It's kind of dark. I can't really see very well right now, but I know it was on the forecast. As we take a look at our next one here, Bulwark's Templar Fighter. That is a scary squad coming out here for Winnie, going up against YamiYugi, Fighters, Templars, Bulwarks as well. So I mean, hey, this one's going to be a slobber knocker, and it looks like both teams are relying heavily on that Forest. That's of course the middle evolution to be their big damage dealers. Granted, for the side of YamiYugi, they do have that Fur Knight loaded up with items as well. A little bit of a safety net there at the item for the Untargetable. We got the foe battle down in the bottom, but it has been ignited by the wildfire from Winnie, and it looks like most of the team right now has been ignited. But at the same time now, same thing here with YamiYugi has been ignited. It's going to be all reliant on the back line. The Adordo in the back, trying to keep the back line alive. 2 on 3, but the one side has heals. Winnie might be out of this one unless they can find themselves a miracle. I don't think they're going to be able to do so. One more tornado comes flying on through. The Ranger gets taken down, and Winnie barely is going to be out-sustained and get taken out here. This confirms the exit here for Nareba, going to get eliminated in 6th, Winnie in 5th. Fantastic run to both of them nonetheless. But we have ourselves our top half. Top 4 remain. DttvAline versus YamiYugi. With Winnie getting knocked out, I wonder if that's going to trigger YamiYugi to start searching for maybe some more wildfires, or if they've already used their credits up. I don't see anything really being added to the bench. Meanwhile, here for DttvAline, that's no longer the Vermilio, that's the Vermiliere. This thing is an absolute menace, and it is going to find that Forest extremely quickly alongside the help of the Revo. Meanwhile, that poor Kuka in the front line here for DttvAline nearly gets taken down. That heal coming out here from the Zephyrlynx is coming in clutch. One more time coming out here from the Vermiliere directly into 2. Didn't chuck them down too bad, but does blind them, does slow them, and just stalls this out so badly. Can that Adordo keep everybody topped off though? Tiny little heal going on over to that Forest. Going to keep it in there for a little bit longer, but that stun directly on top of it, while the Goliath keeps everything else in check. Is looking good here. That Forest should have been dead like 3 times, but it is still living. It doesn't have its healer anymore. It's been actually, wait, no, they're on the other side actually, and the numbers game is going to be too much. DttvAline is going to be out-sustained. YamiYugi taking that one. That Forest would not say die, constantly being topped off by its partner. Was awesome to see, and once again, the Exalted Fleesh is here alongside the Ophisto. That's the one that I keep forgetting the name of. And this thing is loaded. So much Omega power on that Ophisto. It is going to one-shot things if it is left unchecked. However, on the other side, there is the Vermiliere that could possibly find its way on over. Where did the Ophisto go? It's all the way off to the left-hand side. That Vermiliere is going to go after the Fleesh, who's going to end up targeting down the Ranger, which is A-okay. But meanwhile, that Alfie on the side of Zico Perico takes care of the Mammoth. No Illuvials will be yeeted on that side, but a big stun to the front line here, because guess what? Zico Perico has one as well. Big water blast going right towards the healers, and that is leaving things nice and juicy there for the Mephisto to make it rain and just clean up house here. Taking a quick look here, YamiYugi still hanging in there. Was able to take care of INoostalgy, who's leading this lobby with 20. But the scary thing this time is that everybody's in the hot seat. Nobody is sitting pretty. We could very well be put down to our final 2 in a moment's time. Cyvoker coming out here for SqUAk. DttvAline still hanging on in here. Those fighters and Templars are really starting to come around here for YamiYugi and INoostalgy. Very, very balanced composition once again here. Templars, fighters, empaths, bulwarks. They are getting the job done with plenty of natures. Has the Spore affinity, which we honestly don't really see that much in use here as well. YamiYugi, of course, yes, the king of games. We'll have to see. Do they end up winning the entire thing, or they get sent to the Shadow Realm? We'll have to see. I know I've definitely made that joke before in a prior cast. It just kind of writes itself. But of course, this is just an NPC round, so I was having a little bit of fun with the camera this time. Point blank, what does it look like when a crunk is coming running after you? Here's, of course, the squad for your leader. Lots of items being placed down onto that Fernite. INoostalgy up against DttvAline. SqUAk going up against YamiYugi. This one is going to be weird no matter what. We are going to see an elimination here, or 2 at that. Fighters and bulwarks on the right-hand side here for YamiYugi up against the Scion Invokers. The Psynami combination coming out as well. You hardly ever see this. But whatever ends up actually being Tsunami is going to find that mana regeneration so quickly. We'll have to see how this one ends up going down. The Ranger's going to be one of them. Scarebox going to get taken down quickly. The Fleesh alongside the Alfie going to tear on through. They got to watch out for that Umbre and the back line going up against the tank. Big ability coming on through. Takes down so many. And that's exactly what SqUAk was looking for. The burst damage, nice and quick, is going to seal the deal. Let's go to our next one. INoostalgy and DttvAline, rather even battle, but look at that Blazonite. Absolute super chicken firing on through. With attack speed out of this world. INoostalgy going to win that one. SqUAk now. And INoostalgy for the grand final. SqUAk going to be picking up the Vermilia that does have that bonus fighter imprint, which granted at the very, very least you do take it away from INoostalgy, but that plus 10 attack speed is always valuable, regardless of which unit you put it onto. As we hop on into it, I think one way or another, this will be our final battle. Do we see SqUAk take their second Dreamers Esports tournament in a row here, or do we see INoostalgy take their first one here, at least on stream? Templars, fighters, empaths, bulwarks, you name it. INoostalgy has it. Meanwhile, SqUAk, they're going to want this one done, and done quickly. With the burst damage from this Scion Invoker combo, can they burst through that fully loaded Blotto and get to that Blazonite in the background? We know that Umber is going directly towards it, right on top of the healer. Where are the beams? Here they come directly through. They do manage to take out the healer, but the tank line is fine. The forest is fine. They've tanked this for the most part. Now they're on top of the mages, and I think the goose is cooked here for SqUAk and INoostalgy. shall be our winner here in this DayDream tournament for Illuvium Arena. And that's the scary part about playing Scions and Invokers, because that little downtime between your Omega abilities is the exact opportune time that you get destroyed. Congratulations here to INoostalgy being able to capitalize and take the win here. And my cat will not shut up. I don't know if they're hyped or scared of the storm. Gear, you might have been onto something. Maybe there is a storm outside, making it all scared. But of course, Templar Fighter Empath Bulwark was your winner here. The 7 Empaths and Mystics from DttvAline did well, but not quite enough here. YamiYugi with the 5 Fighters, 4 Templars, 3 Bulwarks with the Wildfire style did well, could not quite make it though. Same idea here for Winnie.Monarch, 5 Bulwark, 4 Templar. Nareba, unfortunate that they had the disconnect. They were doing pretty decently, but unfortunately did end up falling from that disconnect. Hate to see it, but it happens to the best of us. SqUAk from Team Monarch went for the Magma style. Full Bulwark with Colossus. That was a tanky squad, but could not quite find the damage necessary. And wrapping up the field, OLA.Froudo with the Empaths and Scions.